Friday afternoon live broadcast. We're super excited to be broadcasting live to you guys from beautiful Southern California. Michael and I are here on a little business trip, doing some business learning type of things at a conference, and we're super excited to be able to jump online with you guys. So today, we're going to actually talk about how it is that you can incorporate your intermittent fasting in your keto-like lifestyle with some other members of your family, and how you can kind of do that in a nonchalant way, or really help your other family members kind of figure out if this might be a lifestyle that's working for them. We all know now that the science is there to show why it is we don't have to eat breakfast, why we don't need to be ramming carbs down our throat, and how beneficial it can be to actually just adapt some, keto-like changes and not worry about missing a meal or two here and there. And that's pretty much how our whole situation evolved with our family living this type of lifestyle. And we'll share sort of the process that we went through along the way. So when I first started this process, it was complete experimentation for me. We had heard about intermittent fasting for several years because we are in the health and fitness industry, but thought it was sort of kooky, and heaven forbid you skip breakfast or go long hours in your day without eating. Like, we had all of those same types of thoughts. And then I just dug deeper and deeper and deeper until I kind of got past that athletic aspect and the physique aspect of what intermittent fasting can do in the ketogenic type of lifestyle, or the ketogenic diet more specifically, and really kept digging until I found the health benefits and how it could really help myself as a woman who was aging and going through a bunch of hormonal imbalances, and how I could really conceptualize what intermittent fasting and developing this keto-like lifestyle could do for me personally. And Michael sort of looked at me, watched me with one eye, cautiously seeing what I was doing. And from a woman's standpoint, the way I approached it for Michael was I let him watch, and I let him question, and I let him sort of see the process that I was going through, and I didn't force it down his throat, and let him sort of experiment on his own. And Michael, you can kind of share how you involved.
For me, it sounded a little crazy at first too. I mean, I've heard about it and I know all the craze about it, but actually doing it for myself, I'm like, I can't imagine like not eating for like these long periods of time. Like, why? I mean, it just didn't make sense. But once I understood the science of it, then I think I was more interested.
And what was your number one concern about skipping breakfast?
That I was just going to be hungry. I wasn't going to have enough energy.
At work, right?
Yeah, I was really concerned about the energy part, because I thought, well, there's no way I'm going to have any kind of energy at all, come midday, and I haven't eaten breakfast, because I was always believed that philosophy of eat a good, healthy breakfast, and you eat 2 hours later, you have a snack. I mean, we were always like doing that type of a
Just describe diet. A typical morning breakfast for you at 4 o'clock in the morning before you left for work.
Well, typically I would do like oatmeal.
With fruit on top?
With fruit on top. Eggs.
Waffles.
Spinach. No. Usually just eggs and spinach. And then I would have like, as my first snack, I would do like some Ezekiel bread, peanut butter. I mean, so I just always thought you had to do that to sustain your energy. And then with this type of a lifestyle and fasting, I discovered that I really didn't need to. And I found that I had more than enough energy, but I actually had to do it first. Like, Diane telling me about it or watching her do it wasn't helping me to believe it until I actually did it myself. And lo and behold, I had all kinds of energy, while I was at work. So
right. And so, and then what else did it do for you time-wise and stress-wise in the morning?
Time-wise was awesome, because I didn't have to like try to get a lunch together, and I mean, I was doing other things at work instead of like sitting down and preparing something to eat.
And in the morning, you had more time.
Yeah, I had way more time, so I actually slept in before I hit the freeway. So it was good in that aspect.
And I think the big aha moment for Michael, for himself personally, was getting over that. And what a lot of, people really fear is that that high-low sugar feeling and hypothyroidism, that we all fear when we're so addicted to carbs. I mean, he started his day with steel-cut oats, loaded with bananas and strawberries and blueberries, which is so healthy. I was doing the same thing. And then 2 hours later, 2 pieces of Ezekiel bread with some peanut butter, maybe a little more banana sliced on the top of it. So carbs, 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 all throughout the day, every couple of hours. And so you do become really dependent on that, and you're scared to go without it, because as soon as those carbs, you get the carbs, you feel great. The carbs wear off, you start to dip. Oh my gosh, I'm going to eat some carbs, and now I feel great again. And then they start to wear off, and then you dip. So you do psychologically and emotionally and physically get into that cycle of, I have to eat every 2 hours, and the carbs just make me feel better. But when you get to that day, and so what we did is I told Michael, I said, well, let's experiment on a day off, not a day you have to go to work. And let's try it at home when, if you don't feel good, you could just break your fast.
Right.
And so we experimented while he was at home in a safe place, and he knew what his surroundings were, and he started experimenting that way. And then one day he was just like, he came home from work and he's like, I didn't take anything for breakfast. I had my black coffee. I didn't need a lunch. Now I'm home from work. Let's break our fast. And that's really how he built his confidence into knowing that he could go and he has a physically demanding job, that he could go without having food. We did the exact same thing with our kids, and we've always raised our kids this same way around nutritional philosophy, because most women and a lot of men grow up with a bunch of food issues, right? Of being rewarded with food, punished with food, celebrated with food. You straight A's, let's go out to dinner and celebrate, and you're going to get an appetizer and dessert because we're celebrating straight A's, and food. And so we've always been really, really careful about making sure that we don't develop those habits with our kids, and we tell them that there's no bad food.
Well, the thing you got to realize is there's no perfect formula. I mean, you can't look at us and go, well, how do you do it? What's the secret? Well, kids don't want to do like anything you tell them to do. I mean, like, we've all experienced that, right? Like, you tell them you should eat this way, or you should exercise, or you should, they're not going to listen to you. So the only way they listened to us was by example. I mean, they saw us doing these things and eating a certain way, and, fasting, or the things that we do for our health and fitness. And they kind of gravitate. Like, it's amazing to watch my son. I worked out with him recently, and he killed me. You know what I mean? And so it's amazing how they adapt to those things just by watching you. Right. And there's no way to force them. Like, I guarantee you, if you tell a teenager, you're going to do this, and this is going to make you healthier, they're more apt not to do it if you approach them that way. But them watching and observing us, and then we always kind of slide stuff to, you should try this, or you should, try this for a day. Like, my son has some acne issues, and we know why. A lot of times it's just because of dairy. He has a reaction to dairy. Our daughter does too. But you kind of let them learn the hard way. Like, he has these breakouts on his face, and our daughter, she'll get a stomach ache, and it's like, and she knows now, like, we don't like restrict them from having pizza or having ice cream. Like, you have whatever you want, but when you don't feel good, that's going to be on you. And so now they know, and sometimes, they'll have pizza and kind of be okay and get away with it if it's the right kind of cheese. But sometimes they'll want to do that, and then they'll want to do ice cream on top of that. We're like, okay, now you're really begging for trouble, and then they'll be hurting from that, and they learn. Right.
So I guess if the best advice that we could give about having this sort of lifestyle adapted by even kids in your house that you're responsible for is to model the practice first, and show your enjoyment and enthusiasm about it, and not make it like you're on a diet or it's torturous or you're doing without the things that you like. So really adapting an authentic lifestyle for yourself is the best, and then model that, and then educate your kids. So our kids know that, they know that if they eat pizza and a shake, they're going to be sick because they have dairy intolerances. And I've educated Gabby and Logan both about some of that, dangers of soy that our bodies just can't tolerate, especially our bodies, our family. And so they get that and they don't want to take that risk. And so they make those conscious decisions for themselves. They're not denied anything. They've been educated, and then they make an educated decision based on how they want to look and feel and live their most authentic life. And sometimes for an 11-year-old girl, she has a stomach ache because she wants to eat ice cream and cake with her friends. And that's totally fine too. She just knows she's going to have a stomach ache. That's fine. She accepts that consequence. She gets through the night, and the next day she makes new choices. So the way we run our family is exactly the way we talk about things here. We live it out authentically in our own home, and then we live it out authentically ourselves. And then our kids model the behavior that we have. We educate them. We have them associate foods with feelings, so they're not unconsciously going through their life with food and shutting those emotions off. And like Michael alluded to, with Logan and he has some cystic acne problems that are totally related to his nutrition. And so when he has a breakout, we're like, what did you eat? And he knows exactly the things he ate that caused his acne breakout, and he'll mature his way through that and then realize that he has to make a conscious decision. Do I want to have a breakout, or do I want to have clear skin and maybe find an alternative thing to consume? And that's part of the beauty of this whole process, is maturing into it and making those conscious decisions and just educating yourself by being aware of how food makes you look and feel.
Right.
And so it's no different for kids than it is a spouse, letting him go on his own journey with me, not, shaking my finger at him, telling him he had to eat that way. And Michael personally has had so many personal just aha moments and revelations about food that he never would have imagined were causing him like these obscure little issues with his body, until he really got down to the nitty gritty and was fasting to the point where he felt so great. And then he would consume something and go, oh, that's the feeling I get when I have that thing. And now he can control his own choices.
And sometimes you just don't feel that until your body's healed.
Yeah.
When your body's healed and you do a certain thing, it didn't really bother you before, but now you can feel it in your body, and you know that you have an issue with that certain food or ingredient that you didn't know before until you're healed. So it kind of really keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
But
it's, I think as parents, it's a responsibility to, with anything, whether it be, it just happens to be, we talk about nutrition and fitness, but with anything that you want to do, what if the way you handle yourself in church or at a restaurant or around strangers, or when you get mad, like how do you handle relationships? Model, if you want your kids to be a certain way, model that behavior, and then they will act in kind. And for us, that happens to just be a lot around nutrition and fitness, because that's what's really important to us. And so our kids are picking up on that, and then they're modeling that same behavior. Our kids will not know what diseases are of the elderly, knock on wood, because our mission is to make sure that they don't think that they're going to end up with diabetes, that they don't think they're going to end up with cholesterol issues, that they don't think they're going to end up with some of these debilitating aging diseases, because their parents aren't going to model that to them. Mm-hmm. We're going to model something different, and then have them free of that stress and burden as they become older. And who knows, maybe we can break a generational type of systemic problem with health issues and aging, because we're going to model something different, than our kids are going to model something different. And then hopefully that will pass down to generations. And that's how things change, by just modeling that and passing it down.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we don't want to keep you guys, because it's a beautiful Friday afternoon and we're in Southern California. Michael's the first time he's been back to Southern California since 2014. So we are going to go hit the streets and soak up the beautiful oceany air and
break this fast.
We're going to go have some real California Mexican food. And then we will check in with you guys on social media. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, because we're Instagram storing our time here in California, and anything that that we think that you guys would be interested in seeing with us, we will definitely share for sure.
And we have some great topics coming up. We want to get on talk about inflammation.
And gout.
A lot of different things.
All Deborah, great to catch you guys. Enjoy California. Deb from Ohio. Oh, thanks, Deborah. It's so good to have you here. And Diane, thanks for jumping on too. Okay, cool. So have a great afternoon. If you catch this on the replay, please leave us a message. We always love to know that you guys have stopped by. If you don't leave us a message, we don't know you were here. And then we can't thank you and appreciate the fact that you've spent time with us. So always feel free to leave that message for us. And then we'll catch you on Instagram or Facebook here sometime later this weekend. Have a good one.
Have a good one.